facilitate is to make easy.
Yeah.
It's off our understanding of what things are. Play is lightness, but play can also play with heaviness.
Okay, so there are clowns in Gaza?
Clowns in Gaza, the clowns in that area in Lebanon and ऐसे तो हंसते नहीं हम.
A teacher is typically the content expert who transmits knowledge from a position of authority. A teacher says, "Here is what you need to know." The relationship is inherently hierarchical. A facilitator, however, must be willing to give up that expert role. Their primary expertise is in process, not necessarily in the content itself. They're saying, "I trust that you as a group have the answers within you, and my job is to create the conditions for those answers to emerge." In a sense, while teaching is about filling an empty cup, facilitation is about helping a group find the water source and learn how to fill their own cups. The process is certainly more empowering because it's about shifting the focus of control from an individual to the collective. And that, many of us would agree, is what is sorely required today. I had a deep dive into the world of facilitation with Sukhmani Kohli. I feel sure that you will enjoy the conversation. Hello, hello! Hello, guys! So nice that you all are here. This is a podcast called Theatre of Joy. And today's guest is Sukhmani Kohli. And this time, she's going to talk about her facilitation days. Welcome, Sukhmani. Thank you for coming once again on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And so, let's talk about different things then. Last time you remember it was clowning, and let's talk about different things today. I know you have been a facilitator for many, many, many years. How many years? 18 or something, right?
17, 18.
17, 18 years. Wow. And tell us about where your journey started and how it has changed or whatever is the flow of the conversation.
So I didn't go to college, and because I didn't go to college, I had a lot of time. I spent 2 years on an organic farm and in a school called Sholay School after my 12th. But after that, I had a lot of time, of course, because I wasn't going to college and I was always very keen to learn. I did a lot of things, learned filmmaking, learned making jewelry, met a lot of interesting people because I would go for these gatherings and workshops, gatherings of people who were doing interesting things in their lives and trying to be more sustainable. And I think one thing that I learned was that I met a lot of people who are unlike the teachers in my school, who were, happy to help me out and um, eager to help me. I think also at that time there wasn't a concept of gap year, so people didn't exactly know like what to do with a young person like me. So points of reference were all out of the window. People were also going with the flow with me. Adults, there was no rule book, so we had a lot more fun. And when I think in my early 20s, I started to realize that one of the things that I can do is and I want to do is the kind of spaces that were created for me in order to learn and build my skills as someone who didn't go to college. I wanted to, make those more available for other young people around me, and older people or any kind of people. So that was one thing I wanted to do, and that was also something I could do. I realized, I especially realized that when I started this community cafe in Chandigarh called Cafe Kaffee Kuchh when I was in 2008. I think I was 23 or something. And
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Tell us more about it.
yeah, so the cafe was this gift economy cafe, which was inspired by the Seva Cafe in Ahmedabad. There used to be this cafe where they wouldn't present you with a bill, but you could pay in an empty envelope through your heart, whatever you wanted to give. And we used to say that you're gifting a meal for the next person. So when you say use that language of gifting, then one doesn't calculate. Okay, I had one sandwich, one chai, तो 3 रुपए होएगा, 5 रुपए होएगा. So when you pay from your heart, it's a different economy. So it was a gift economy cafe, entirely run by volunteers, and we only opened once a week. It was also a community space. I think it came from an angst of a young person in Chandigarh at that time, in 2008, where there weren't a lot of alternative spaces for young people like me. I wanted to basically create a space for myself because I felt I needed to find my tribe.
And I
And
remember the energy of that place was so,
yeah,
so wonderful.
yeah,
It attracted a lot of people who were doing different things.
yeah, I made a lot of friends who are still my friends, still my community in so many ways. And also, I think it also sparked a lot of other initiatives in the city.
Mm.
We only ran for 4 years, but and I wasn't there in the city. I moved cities for 2 years in those 4 years. So the community actually took it over and were running it.
Mm.
We used to do a lot of events, interesting things like a film festival, a mela, or discussions or workshops, talking storytelling about gender and sexuality. So it was an interesting time. And I think at that time I is when I started to kind of understand what I was doing. A few years after that, and through that, and that was what really brought me a lot of joy, to see people connecting, to create, to kind of design, make available this space where people can really be authentic, you know, and they can unmask for a while and just connect deeply with someone else authentically. And that really kind of showed me, like, brought me a lot of clarity, because I was also very confused. Now, not going to college and all of that, then, like I said, you're off script. So, what are you going to do with your life, and where are you going to go? And there were all these different skills that I was getting. I was making jewelry, I was making films, I was, traveling, I was doing workshops in theater and clowning, and um, trying to grow food in my house, and there were a lot of things. And then I was also went through a lot of chaos and confusion. But I think this when cafe happened, it gave me a lot of clarity about that.
Mm.
And I think a few years after that, I convinced a couple of friends of mine to start a company, a facilitators collective. And this, I'm talking in 2010 and 11, and I don't think anyone really understood who a facilitator is at that time. It wasn't really a designation or a job. We would say we're facilitators, and they're like, yeah, okay, but what, like? So mm, it wasn't a standalone thing. You would facilitate either in a school or a learning space. um, but in India especially, there were still things people still trying to understand. So we started a collective. Most of the things I've done in my life are for myself. Like, the collective was also a, wanting to create a job for myself, basically. So that's how I
A
started
job that
offering.
you could fit in without any bosses and
Yeah,
things.
yeah. And that, so with the collective is how I started to professionally facilitate. The cafe was mostly all volunteer. I didn't really earn anything from it. So yeah, professionally it's kind of started um, around 2011, 10, 11. I was also doing a lot of clowning, and starting to get into clowning at that time. And um, yeah, I think I also realized with clowning also, because I did not really receive a formal education on clowning itself or theater. It was all informal, self-learned, self-taught. um, I also realized that the more I shared whatever I was discovering about life around me, more I shared and taught, and facilitated that for other people, the more I learned. So that was also, I realized, my learning style. So yeah,
which
I
is the
think
way one learns. That's the
yeah.
way a baby learns.
So I'll show you how it's done, and then I will. Oh, okay, I didn't see that. So there were some interesting experiences there. Yeah, that's how I kind of started, got into it.
Okay. So now, of course, facilitation is a word people understand. Uh, some people understand. A lot of people, lot more people, let's say, understand. And but would you tell our viewers what is facilitation? As is it like teaching? Is it different?
Mm. The literal translation, I think, to facilitate is to make easy,
Hmm.
is to bring more ease in a process.
Hmm.
That could be decision making, that could be a learning experience, that could be um, leadership, participatory leadership, um, or a
Participatory
design,
leadership.
yeah,
It's
designing
interesting.
process. You know.
Yeah.
Basically, to help have easier conversations. That's what facilitators do eventually,
Hmm.
at the crux of it.
Hmm.
And that in that conversation, there's always learning, of course, and there's building, and there's creation, and there's kind of a hearing and saying, really hearing and really saying. Um, yeah, so that connection can make anything happen. So it's not only about teaching a new skill,
Hmm.
it's really about making conversations happen that are that's the foundation of building more, like that can be in a way a support system for more to come.
Hmm.
And facilitators, so they make easy, they support, um, they're able to see the bigger picture when two people in conversation are not. So when I'm facilitating, for example, a conversation between two people, because they're so into what they want to say and what they're hearing,
Hmm.
the facilitator is also that person or space where they're able to kind of connect the dots and see the bigger picture, see the large,
Ah.
and then bring them back to it.
Yeah.
you know
So one thing that you don't talk at people, you
Hmm.
talk to,
Yeah,
and also you connect the dots. A
yeah,
facilitator does that.
if that is
Mm.
required.
That is required.
For whatever is required, I think facilitators are there for whatever is required.
Yeah.
And that's important for a facilitator to see. Sometimes I've seen that a lot of times there's agenda. There's an agenda. There's like, oh,
Hmm.
this is the moral of the story, and this is what needs to
Hmm.
be. This is where I need to bring you know, this is a specific point where I need to bring the group. Sometimes that's needed. If that is required, then you do that.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
I hear you. Like, no, it's not really connecting the dots that you already put
yeah,
someplace.
it's what is
It is
emerging.
basically even changing your idea about
Yeah,
where to go
yeah.
after the conversation,
It's
after the
about
one.
emergence, no?
It works.
And I think that's what's scary for a lot of people, because
Yeah,
emergence is like not having control. But
yeah,
that's the beautiful dance of facilitation, is
right.
that it's you have to stay with the emergence,
Uh,
and you also have to not control, but still be connecting dots, still be kind of do some
uh,
sense making,
uh,
uh, uh, some facilitating the flow in a
yeah,
way so that it
correct.
doesn't get too scattered.
Uh,
And sometimes the requirement is for things to get scattered, and then why not? So
uh,
like I said, it's what's required,
yeah,
and the facilitators that to recognize what's required also.
yeah.
um, you
Or what is showing up
what
actually.
is showing up, what is required, and that can change, like you said. I
Mm,
start a session with a group with something else, in mind of what is required, but then that requirement changes because
mm,
the group body tells me. And so
where
to
to go?
facilitate is also to sense that, to understand, to be really listening. Yeah, it's deep listening.
Also, if you are, with the scatter,
Mm.
then the points that you talk about connecting the points can go wider and wider.
Mm.
Like climate change, like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. And so, but as long as you're able to build that connection.
huh,
Otherwise, if it's all over the place, and people end up getting confused.
Yeah, I mean, what emerges?
Yeah,
is
what
I say.
emerges, but also connection, like making connections.
Yeah.
In the scattered points, also there's always a connection. You know how gender and sexuality is connected to climate change, for example.
Yeah. How exciting!
Yeah.
What a job!
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the essence is like play.
Um, so what I'm discovering more and more now, as you know, I've also growing as a clown and a performer. One of the things I'm discovering is the magic of play. Um, Mostly, like I said, from my own personal experience of being a clown and how that has facilitated my own life's journey. The magic of play is something that I've been discovering also in my facilitation. And like what I said about, I think you have to the magic of play, like, is also the attitude of play. So as a facilitator, it's important to have that attitude, because what I mean by play is being spontaneous, really be listening,
Being
taking
present.
being present, taking risks. When we're in a space of play, it's not about avoidance, it's really about seeing and acknowledging. So
With the song of
curiosity, manipulation also. Sometimes, sometimes you have to make things happen. Sometimes you have to
You have
just
to make things
let go.
emerge.
Yeah, sometimes you have to let go. When you're playful, and you're also like, let's try, and then you fail, and then you kind of let go of that, and then you take something else. So play is very wide. um, but I think that as a facilitator, you have to be someone who's able to embrace play, who's able to take that on. And that can be done in very different ways, but for me, and for different facilitators, it's a different way of doing it. For me, I think a lot of embodied somatic practices have been showing me a way towards that as a facilitator. um, Theater, just creating nonsensical things, a lot of silliness. I think there's silliness is very serious. But I say that with a lot of like, um, I mean, I say that with a lot of awareness that when I say silliness is serious, it kind of just takes the silliness, the fun out of it. But without taking the fun out of it, I think fun and silliness and just going off script, for example.
No, I think in today's world, it's okay to reiterate that silliness is serious.
Yeah.
Because, that puts it in a category of its own.
But you know what happens, and you know how, like, in education, then play became this thing of play way, and teaching maths through play. But you're in the end teaching math only, no?
And
you're still
not in
trying
a
to
play
control.
way.
Yeah, you're still trying to control what the child is learning.
agendas
So that's why I'm a little wary of that. Of when I say silliness is serious, and next moment someone will create a curriculum around it. So I feel. So I think that for me, it's really going off script. The silliness is been why does something seem silly to us? Because it's off the script.
Yeah.
It's off our understanding of what things are.
Yeah. It's
That's why we
coloring
call it,
outside the lines.
yeah. So that's why we call it silly. That's the only thing that it is. It's more fun because it's off script, and you're into the wild. But I think that what happens when you go off script is that there's a lot more to discover, there's a lot more to learn, there's more. There's also, maybe the learning is to go back on script sometimes, and that's fine. But I think that it just builds a lot more awareness.
Yeah, well, as I'm getting older, I realize there are a lot of perspectives out there that I haven't experienced because my life has been different. So going off script and listening is also will also lead you to
Yeah.
get out of your fixed points of views
Yeah.
and actually access.
Yeah, and this is not something new. That people have been saying this for, Robert Frost said, "Took the road less traveled by," and so it's something that
Something new,
has
but
been
right.
coming up.
But in today's world, we have the tools for it.
Yeah,
It's not a brain thing.
no, it's not. That's what's very important for me. Now, for example, if I'm working with a group that's trying to come to a decision, right, and I'm trying to facilitate that decision making process, I it may sound silly, but like I'll use some playfulness, or I'll use some, like, just some gibberishing in that. I'll get them to maybe start the meeting with gibberish, just to kind of get them to empty their minds from things,
agendas and things,
or
hierarchies.
judgments, fears, hopes, even. So play is such a wonderful release, such a wonderful, like I said, of, like, not holding too tightly to something, just kind of releasing that, holding gently. So, starting a meeting with gibberish, why not? Or like starting or midway through the decision making process, where maybe there's a conflict. And conflicts are amazing. Conflicts are required a lot of times, because that means that people are speaking their truth. So, and then maybe can we maybe do a one hand dance together around that conflict. Let the body tell you what it wants to say about that conflict. Invite the body in, which is actually doesn't happen very much. Yeah, so why not? And I think that also play creates more connection. When I feel like in a group, if I'm working with a big group and I'm working around othering, for example, or I'm working around. So what is identity. What is othering again? From my understanding of othering is that when I separate myself from the others, so I say, तुम तो ऐसे करते हो यार, you are like this. जैसे हम कहते हैं हिंदी पंजाबी में ओपरा. हाँ, it's separating ओपरा myself. बनाना किसी को. हाँ. So when I'm working around that, or identities, for example, I lost my train of thought, but I think, I think that when I feel like the group is getting too, because we're talking about things that are triggering for us, that come from our life experience, that have caused us trauma, to be othered, to be bullied, to be teased. It's very, in a group body, what can happen is that people can get, their energies can get disconnected from each other very quickly. And if it's required, either you take a pause, you see as a facilitator, but if it's required, play can be a great way of bringing that energy back in, to kind of, okay, taking a breath and taking that risk again, going where there's fear, going where there's darkness. Play can be a great scaffolding for that. Well, that brings me to a very important space in today's world, which is, say, a corporate office. Yeah. Where, there is a lot of othering, and very complicated ways. Anywhere. Even in families. Even in families. But yeah, in companies, especially in workplaces, where, there's a certain pressure of being productive and, creating some things. Also, these are all human beings. Yeah. With lives, with different things, and they're all thrown together. Yeah. And I've experienced sometimes that leaders in such spaces usually have a fear for play, because they feel like, oh, they're going to get things out of control. Things are going to get out of control. They won't listen to me. They won't listen to authority. But I think it's the opposite. I think it's people, when people feel more connected, when people feel more that they're part of something, then they're able to create more, and they're able to do more. Which has been productivized and concretized under the label teamwork. Yeah, But I don't know how much. A lot of teamwork facilitation that I have witnessed in the past, especially in corporate spaces, is very competitive. And I
Mm.
don't understand that, because if you're trying to get them people to work together and respect each other, and because if a team doesn't respect each other, then how are they going to work together, right? So
Mm.
if you that's what you're trying to do, then how does competition help with setting that tone?
Yeah.
So it's like they're two far ends. But because in school, that's what we've seen, that agar there is a goal and everyone works towards that, and then after that what? After
Mm.
that, there's still, and is there beauty in that goal? Is there
Mm.
were they ever able to put magic in that goal?
Mm.
Were they able to really build that and create something beautiful?
I think a very important word is risk taking,
Yeah.
and that's the problem.
Mm.
There are no people taking, very few people taking risks in schools, in what is called teaching,
Yeah.
in corporate hierarchies, and those
And if there are people
management
who are taking risks, then they're upper management. They're people who have
in the
the power.
market.
Yeah.
Yeah, but working together is
Mm.
also important, and that's
Yeah.
where things fail.
Yeah.
I mean, people at the top are not the only ones who
Mm.
make a corporate work.
Yeah, and when there's competition,
Mm.
then there's also othering, because then the weakest link, for
Mm.
example, is not supported.
Yeah.
There's no space for the
Mm.
so-called weakest link.
And
But
that also the
maybe,
definition is,
matlab they're
yeah.
not. Actually, the weakest link is the wrong term to use, because there must be some gift that they have that others don't. So how do you use that gift instead of making them fit into a circle?
Yeah.
They're a square peg.
Yeah.
So I think that it doesn't make sense to me when I see कि team building के उसमें you put
There are
in competition.
competition.
Yeah, there can be challenges, and you can say, oh, you only have this much time, what are you going to
Ah.
do? That's fine. But when there's when
Those are
someone is
more
winning and
connected
someone
with
is
creativity and
yeah, when there's someone winning, someone losing, then in the larger context of the world today, even that doesn't make sense. अभी wars हो रही हैं, but who is
who's
losing?
winning and who's losing.
There is, and everyone knows this.
Mm.
Everyone knows this now.
So that really makes play all that more important,
Yeah,
because play has everything,
it has everything.
right?
Yeah,
It has everything in it. Also the silliness, also the non-othering,
yeah.
also the chal khediye,
Mm.
है ना?
Seeing
And
another point of view,
seeing another
it's
point of
just
view.
it's such a small word, but it holds so much lot. And I've it's I think I'm going to spend my whole life trying to explain play to people because it's just so
Yeah,
much, and
yeah.
I'm okay with that. But I think that it's just so exciting for me at this point in my life to be able to bring play into spaces that are somber, that are sacred. Sacred and sacred play is just, what if there was more play? And there used to be, our indigenous cultures had more play even in the
Even
sacred.
Shakespeare's people, they were not called actors, they were called players.
Yeah,
And a
but
lot of
I'm
people
talking,
even now talk of participants, not the participants, but players.
yeah, but I'm talking about like religion, for example,
Ah.
sacred spaces of spirituality.
Yeah.
There used to be play. There
Yeah.
was always play in that. But as we've started taking ourselves so seriously, more and more, that sense of play is gone, because all important ego has come in. So what if you could play with that ego also? Just kind of,
Yeah. And
So,
play with the othering also.
yeah. So that's what's very interesting for me at this point in my life, is how can I be more in play in times that feel really hard and heavy, and you know play is lightness, but play can also play with heaviness.
And you have a lot of activities for that via interplay.
Yeah, so interplay is this global practice that I lead and follow and practice, that uses play, that uses movement, that uses storytelling and silliness and spontaneity,
Hmm.
to help people get out of their heads
Hmm.
and get more into their bodies.
Hmm.
Bodies are the spontaneous space.
Hmm. Yeah, I was just reading this morning about joyous embodiment,
Hmm.
right? And that is there's so much around judgments and things and heaviness around bodies.
Yeah,
But bodies are seldom even invited into boardrooms and
yeah,
into serious places.
Hmm.
But you always do. Your
yeah,
body is the where it starts.
yeah.
The icebreakers or whatever.
And now that everything is becoming virtual, and it's bodies are even more uninvited in a way.
Yeah.
But there are ways that a facilitator can bring the
Online
body
also,
in
yeah.
online. But one needs to know.
Hmm.
And I think that I've known this for some time now, that I realize that in anything pivotal or important that has happened in the world's history, there has been someone facilitating that conversation.
Hmm.
कोई ना कोई तो होगा ही, मतलब
Hmm.
someone must have been there
Yeah.
to help people have that decision. Like someone was there to facilitate that.
Name comes up, Voilas Polin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, Voilas Polin was active in the 40s, 1940s, in the US actually. And she brought in a lot of processes that are still used now
Yeah.
for workshopping and for.
Lots of mostly women names that are there.
Ah,
Uh, yeah, and I think that um, I think that a lot of things that especially in the social sector, but even in entrepreneurial and business places, a lot of terms that are being used, like even team building, came from a
yeah,
facilitator. So
yeah. And then it got
facilitators,
bastardized.
so the facilitators have been around for even like the elders in a gaon panchayat were facilitators.
Yeah,
That's what they were meant to do.
yeah,
Our elders in a tribal community,
yeah,
the wise fool or the medicine man, they were facilitators.
yeah,
They understood the idea of what it is to facilitate and not
yeah.
teach or not give.
Even the person who invented Playway
Yeah,
education.
kahin to the heart is always in the right place.
Wherever it is taken, but still, I mean, it
Even
goes.
with religion, I think religion was probably meant to be a facilitator, but it became
Yeah,
something else.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, do want to have the last word? Say something. You said that you want to spend your life or teaching people about play,
Bringing people more play.
more
Yeah.
into play. But where do you see that going? What's your dream about where it will go?
Um, in all kinds of places. The first thought that came to me was in the UN Assembly, maybe, I don't know, but in the Parliament, or
Yeah.
I think, and or just in the neighborhood here. Um, yeah, big and small places, but it can go in so many ways.
Hmm.
And the amazing thing is that there are so many more facilitators now in the world who are
Yes.
calling themselves, owning that title that we tried to create for ourselves
Ah,
14, 15 years ago. And
ah.
I think that that's great. More and more people are trying to do that.
Yeah, and they're working in spaces which have been
They
called
are
the
being
grassroots,
no,
but they're
yeah,
working down.
they are being invited in spaces that
Ah,
weren't accessible to us when we first started.
yes, and they've been
And
paid for it,
yeah, they've been paid for
right?
it. So I
And
think
but
we're
but
getting
it's
there.
not, the negative noise and fight is more visible
Hmm.
and more hearable
Yeah.
than all this wonderful, gentle, beautiful work that is
Yeah.
going on in the
Yeah.
in the
And I
world.
think that's what's going to counter that. Like, I think for if a facilitator can understand that that noise and that negativity is also something that is right now, it's there and needs to be acknowledged and sat with,
Uh,
and um, and uh, and seen what it is,
yeah,
played with.
yeah.
Um,
I love that. That noise, that negativity needs to be, looked at, acknowledged, and sat with. I think those are
and then
wonderful.
played with it.
Yeah, and played with it.
And
But before that, we
yeah,
need to sit with it,
yeah,
get out the anger and the
yeah. I mean,
hurt
look at
and the
what the clowns
pain.
are doing in Gaza right now, for example. They're going
Ah.
there and
Okay, so there are clowns in Gaza?
clowns in Gaza, they clowns in that area in Lebanon, and
Yeah.
there's Sabine and all these guys who are doing
Yes,
amazing
I know
work.
them.
So it's,
So they're working with the people there.
yeah, they're
Wow.
performing, they're making people laugh, they're
Wow.
doing workshops and shows.
How wonderful. I think this is kind of what else can be said.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sukhmani. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for choosing me as your mom.
Ah,
So
thank
proud of you and so grateful.
you.
Thank
Me
you.
too.